what better way to end this series than to end with this video? This is the first series that's kind of coming out for this channel. And this is kind of how I plan to do things going forward, is to just give you these videos and lessons and stories and life experiences just through the form of 3, 2, 5-part series. So we talked about our transition, or whatever the shift is in 8th grade to 9th grade. We talked about the transition from high school, graduating high school, the graduation from college, if you went to college or not, or just having that shift happen at the age of 25 or earlier. And then we talked about the shift that you really may not have noted or made a landmark of with you being a kid, you going from maybe 4th to 5th or 3rd to 4th grade, like that whole area of imagination, parental guidance, and just navigating the world and being confused a little bit. And now we are jumping to 30 plus. And for some people, maybe 40 plus, some people maybe 50 plus. But I just wanted to break up these 5 sectors in your life and have the last one be this, because this is the one that I feel that I'm at right now. And this is part of the reason why I started this channel. And the channel, you can go back and there's a bunch of stuff here, and we'll get into that in another video, about activism, community organizing, responding to, climates around you, not talking about temperature, cultural climates around you. But this is basically to serve. And I wanted to not have my life lived in vain, and have some of the stories, if they can help you, help you. If they can't, well, maybe they serve as a landmark for somebody else, I don't know. But the point is, I really thought of my nephews. I don't have kids right now. And if and when I do, I wanted to leave behind some type of legacy for them to follow and say, man, he really took a wrong turn there and made amends with it and did it right after. So I don't know, this is kind of the point of it. So to get into what we were talking about, the transition point before here, when we were talking about graduating college, you kind of have this idea where you can start to alter the bedrock beneath you. You can change the framework. You can start to grow things that you may not have been permitted to do so before. And now you have this world and this garden and this circle of people, or whatever your community is. You've chosen it. You got it now. Even if you feel you haven't chosen it, your surrounding community and what's going on is definitely a result of the choices that you made leading up to now. And I think it's good to take a look at the world in each of these stages in this way. But right now you have the most leverage to pull this off to its highest degree now than you ever did in your life. And that is to forgive, that is to serve, and that is to give some more. Denzel Washington was in this video where he talked about, he's like, there's 3 things in your life, okay? All right? In the first act, you learn. The second act, you earn. The third act, you serve. And I was just like, okay, all right. I mean, he has some very prophetic things that he says now, and he's just in a stage where he's like, I'm Uncle Denzel, I don't give a F. So I love the place that he's in right now. But I think what I wanted to switch up is part of the work that I had to do to get into a space to serve authentically, was to forgive. And these are videos for other times where I'll talk about how I made amends with my mother, how I made amends with my father. The amends with my grandparents was already there, it was just kind of built in. However, this idea of forgiveness, it may seem complex, it may seem difficult, but the act of it is very basic. I don't want to say it's simple, because it's not easy to forgive some of the behavior and actions that people have taken that have affected you. And let me preface this by saying forgiveness does not mean engaging with this person. Forgiveness does not mean speaking to this person. Forgiveness does not mean saying what they did was okay. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to reach out in any way. Sometimes you forgiving somebody may re-traumatize them. So we have to be careful how we go about it, but also know that whichever way we do go about it, that it is for them, for the situation, but even more so, it's for you. If not for anything, it's for you. It's for you to live and let go of what happened and to find a space to live with it and be at peace with it. When we don't allow forgiveness to take action or be something that's a possibility, we engage in a certain amount of Cold War. We engage in a certain amount of calcified condemnation or stonewalling, and we hold the line with every bit of spirit and emotion and energy that we have, and we take it up. We spend it. Lack of forgiveness is a continual expenditure that a continual spending on that situation. You are maintaining the wall, you are upkeeping the wall. And when we talk about this, we'll always get back into this. When you put a wall between you and somebody else or a situation or something you want to say, the wall goes both ways, and added to that, you are the one that built the wall. To take down the wall, you'll have to be the one. So you're making work for yourself, whether you like it or not. And forgiveness is not only taking down the wall, in a way it's disappearing it. And it's saying, there is no wall between us. There may be a river between us, who knows? And we can see each other from the river, like hey, what's going on? We talk about this in therapy all the time, that you want to be able to, like, if you see somebody out in public and it may not have gone great with them, you want to be able to still just look at them and just, that Robert Redford gif where he's looking at the camera and he goes, but it doesn't even have to be a smile. It's just you're at peace with this person regardless. And even if forgiveness means that the healthy boundary is you can't be around that person, so be it. That may be it too. But in therapy, we have I think we have some higher expectations. I mean, if you find yourself in a room with somebody, you can just kind of nod or gracefully exit. And it doesn't have to mean war. It doesn't have to mean I need to get this last word. And it doesn't have to mean I'm holding on to the hatred. I'm holding on to the pain. I'm holding on to the hurt. It doesn't have to mean that. Forgiveness means I let go of this. And actually, I send this down the river, to wherever it needs to go. Bill Hader talked about this with anxiety. He said he didn't really get to manage on it until 37, 38. And I always love bringing this one up because he says, I didn't try to eliminate it or force it out. I would just look at it as like a little thing on my shoulder. And I say, oh, you're here, anxiety. Oh, well, you can hang out for a little bit, but after that, you got to go. It's letting it be. It's not creating any kind of cage or holding space that it needs to be in. It's just letting it be. And there's something so beautiful about that because you accept it for what it is. You understand that life let that happen on life's terms. And now you can move on. You're free. Forgiveness is freedom. It's liberation. It really is. And it means that you can take new action. And moving into the second part, serving. I wasn't able to serve until I was able to forgive. Truly serve until I was able to forgive. And serving for me meant setting aside my ego and voice to support whatever the cause was at the time. And that happened a lot here in Minneapolis with mutual aid and basically running supply drives for people who don't have homes or were facing massive eviction, facing family members incarcerated unlawfully. And how can you better support these people or in these communities without asserting yourself, as a topic in the conversation? And That was huge. That was huge because I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't understand why it wasn't working sometimes. And so I was like, oh man, I don't understand why is this not, why am I not having the outcome that I desire here? It was because I was applying a lot of resistance. And so when I stopped resisting the way I thought the support should be, then everything, I was able to serve wholeheartedly. Dude, I was able to say no to things that I knew that I couldn't serve. I can't be there. I can't be at all the press conferences. No, I can't speak for this thing. No, I can't create a graphic for that. Yes, I can show up to that. And when I do, my whole heart will be there, dog. My whole heart and soul will be there. And I can do that now because I've usurped the ability to forgive and now understand what it is to serve. Don't get it twisted that just because you forgive means that you ultimately now know how to serve fully. It is a continual practice. Forgiveness can happen and it's like, boom, done. You may have to do a little more forgiveness down the road, but it is just engaging with it is huge. You have to get into the first steps of it. And for some people, they feel that forgiveness is just like, done. Whereas for me, for some situations, it was a continual occurrence. But once you start to understand what forgiveness is, then you are able to exercise it more not skillfully, but I want to say you are able to exercise it better. You're just able to, it's just less time. It's just, I see what's going on. Man, they were having a tough day or they were having a tough life, and forgiveness. To serve afterwards, I mean, like that just became almost like the default afterwards. It was like service became a byproduct of forgiveness. And then the last part that we have here, giving some more. Now that you're in this place in your life where you've learned all these things and you've gone through all these transitions, and you can then look back, and here's, the gold that I would say this is, you're able to look back at everybody else's transition points. You're able to look at all their chapter changes, all the things that they've gone through, and you're able to mark that and say, oh, well, their journey, they did kind of the same thing, maybe to a crazier magnitude. Maybe there was more life or death circumstances, maybe there was less, we don't know. But the idea is that they've gone through the same journey that I have. It may look entirely different, maybe different chapter changes, maybe more chapter changes, we don't know. But they're living life on life's terms the same way that I am. And that's just what it is. And so when I can tap into that with other people, it's getting into a place of non-duality. You're seeing yourself in other people, all right? And this is where it gets really, really amazing, is you're like, oh, well, if I was in that person's shoes, I would totally want this right now. Let me get that for you, whatever it is. You're able to exercise non-duality and compassion and service without even being conscious of it. It's unconscious competence at that point. And for you, you'll have to figure out what that means to you in your life. This video cannot really give you the step 1, 2, and 3. It's just, what does forgiveness look like to you? What can that be? Then what does it look like to serve your community afterwards with what you have, and not over serving to the point that you go into, some type of deficit and you're losing your mind and you're like, oh God, you start to disdain, or have, oh my goodness, what's the word for it? Somebody will write it in the comments, I swear. But you start to, you start to hate the situation because you've given so much of yourself to it. And then how do you give more? How can you give more, recognizing other people, seeing yourself in other people? Like really seeing, forgiving that child version of yourself, giving words of encouragement and love, looking at what it is to go from elementary school to high school and all the things that change, and kind of the external atmosphere that threatens your imagination and dreams or almost shames it, going from high school to college, or at least 18 to the rest of the world, where now you're on your own. You have your own autonomy. There's no safety net, nobody looking over your shoulder to make sure you're okay. And then going to a place where you're developing the framework. Now you're 25 something now, or older or younger, and you're able to start growing your world, creating your world that you want. And then later on now, it's applying a ton of non-resistance, which almost sounds like a paradox, applying non-resistance, allowing non-resistance to live in your life where you can forgive a lot of those things that have happened in the past. You can begin to serve people that are maybe experiencing some of those ebbs and flows that you experience throughout your life. And then you can get into a place of giving some more. How do you do that? Give one more, give a little bit more. Can you? How can you? And so that for me has been this version of myself right now. And that's really why I started the channel, is just to give more and figure out a way to do it. The pattern in which you'll see me doing this on YouTube is part of the endeavor, it's part of the challenge. And we will see how that goes. No promises, but no promises to you, but I've only made a promise to myself. And I know that I have to give myself some grace with following through on it and seeing how that all works out. So that is that video. Thank you so much for joining me on this series, on this video as well. And if there's anything you want me to talk about later on, let me know in the comments. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you in the next one.